Really, Elvis was all about the music, and people did not get that. People try to complicate it. The music was so much a part of his life that in sharing his music, you lived it with him.
Nestled in the heart of Memphis, Tennessee, stands Graceland. Not just a mansion, but a living monument to the life, music, and legend of Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. This iconic estate became his sanctuary, the backdrop to his greatest triumphs and quietest moments. Over the decades, millions of fans have walked its halls, stepping into the world Elvis once called home. Yet, not every corner of Graceland has been revealed. Behind the upstairs doors lies a mystery, a space frozen in time, protected out of deep love and respect. Today, for the first time, we get an intimate glimpse into that hidden world, thanks to Elvis's granddaughter, Keough. What secrets have been preserved for decades? What stories remain waiting to be told? Let's take a journey into the heart of Graceland's most guarded treasures. Long before Elvis Presley ever set foot inside, Graceland was already a place filled with history, music, and family tradition. The story begins with the Keough family, prominent figures in Memphis, who originally owned the sprawling land that would one day become a symbol of rock and roll legend. They named the estate in honor of Grace Keough, a beloved family member whose spirit of warmth and hospitality set the tone for the land's future. In 1939, decades before the king would make it his home, Grace's niece, Ruth Brown Moore, along with her husband, Dr. Thomas Moore, built the grand Southern colonial-style mansion that still stands today. Designed to embody elegance and charm, the home quickly became a local landmark, admired for its striking architecture and serene surroundings. Music, it turns out, has always echoed through the halls of Graceland. Ruth Moore herself was a talented harpist, a member of the prestigious Memphis Symphony Orchestra. Her passion for music filled the estate long before the world knew the sounds of rock and roll. The original Graceland wasn't just a home, it was a gathering place where creativity and community thrived. Even then, music was stitched into its very fabric, hinting at the destiny that awaited it. Every note that floated through those early walls laid the foundation for the musical legacy that Elvis would later magnify on a global scale. The estate originally sat on a 500-acre stretch of land, a massive property compared to today's size. Over time, portions were sold off, but the heart of Graceland remained. Its wide lawns, towering trees, and welcoming facade spoke to a sense of tradition, family, and artistry, qualities that Elvis Presley would both honor and redefine during his years there. When Elvis discovered Graceland, it wasn't just the size or grandeur that drew him in. It was the soul of the place, the feeling that music belonged there, that life could be celebrated within its walls. Without realizing it, Elvis was stepping into a home that already had music woven into its story. The deep musical roots of Graceland created a seamless transition from classical elegance to the high-energy pulse of rock and roll. The very spirit that Ruth Moore nurtured through her performances carried forward into Elvis's era, as gospel, blues, and rock exploded into life inside the mansion. In many ways, Graceland was destined to become a temple of sound, a sacred space where past and future melodies collided. It was the perfect backdrop for Elvis's own musical journey, a journey that would forever change American culture and music history. So, even before Elvis Presley became its most famous resident, Graceland was already alive with music, tradition, and a sense of magic. It wasn't just a house waiting for a king, it was a living, breathing part of Memphis's heart, ready to embrace the man who would go on to change the world. By 1957, Elvis Presley was no longer just a rising star. He was a full-blown cultural phenomenon. With hit records, blockbuster appearances, and legions of fans following his every move, Elvis needed something he had never truly known since fame found him: privacy. He wanted a place to retreat, to relax, and to reconnect with himself and his roots. At just 22 years old, Elvis found that refuge in an unexpected corner of Memphis. When he first laid eyes on Graceland, it wasn't the grand columns or sprawling lawns that sealed the deal. It was the promise of peace. The estate offered a quiet sanctuary, far removed from the flashing cameras, screaming crowds, and endless demands of his growing stardom. Elvis purchased Graceland for the impressive sum of $102,500, a serious investment at the time, especially for a young man just a few years removed from driving trucks for a living. But for Elvis, it wasn't about luxury or status. Graceland represented a much-needed safe harbor from a world that was beginning to spin faster than he could sometimes handle. Still, the home wasn't exactly perfect in his eyes when he first moved in. While it had grace and charm, Elvis immediately set about making it his own. He envisioned a space that reflected not only his personal style, but also his playful spirit and love for family. Renovations began almost immediately, with Elvis putting his own unique stamp on nearly every corner of the estate. He expanded the mansion's footprint, adding rooms that would later become legendary in their own right, like the famous Jungle Room. He brought in furniture and decor that mixed traditional Southern sensibility with bold, flashy touches that only Elvis could pull off. He designed rooms not just for living, but for gathering, celebrating, and creating. For Elvis, Graceland was never meant to be a polished palace meant to impress outsiders. It was a living, breathing part of his life. A family home, a creative hub, a hideout where he could walk around barefoot, laugh with friends, and find comfort away from the spotlight. Every decision he made about the property, from the color of the drapes to the placement of the music gates, came from a personal place, not a public one. Graceland quickly became more than just a private residence. It was a headquarters for his inner circle, known as the Memphis Mafia, a haven for late-night jam sessions, movie marathons, and gospel sing-alongs that would stretch into the early hours of the morning. It was a playground for his family and a quiet place to dream about new possibilities when the world outside became too loud. In those early years, Elvis wasn't chasing opulence. He was searching for roots, for a foundation where he could still be Elvis the son, Elvis the friend, Elvis the dreamer. Graceland became that foundation, a piece of solid ground in a life that was otherwise racing at breakneck speed. Through his hands and his heart, Elvis transformed Graceland from a beautiful house into a home that mirrored his soul. Every wall, every room, every piece of furniture told a story of a young man holding tightly to his humanity, even as the world anointed him a king. Graceland wasn't just Elvis Presley's home. It was the heart of his universe. It was where the man behind the legend found comfort, surrounded by the people he trusted most: family members, childhood friends, and his loyal group known as the Memphis Mafia all found a second home within Graceland's walls. It was a place buzzing with energy, laughter, and the constant hum of life, a sharp contrast to the polished image the world usually saw. The mansion itself was split into two distinct worlds. Downstairs was lively, vibrant, and always open to guests. Friends and visitors could roam the living room, the dining room, and the kitchen, gathering for meals, music, or impromptu parties. But upstairs was sacred. It was Elvis's personal retreat, a space kept strictly off-limits to outsiders. Only a small, trusted circle ever got to glimpse the private rooms where Elvis slept, dreamed, and sometimes wrestled with the pressures of fame. During the height of his career, Graceland bore witness to some of Elvis's most important milestones. It was there that he celebrated gold record awards, rehearsed for groundbreaking television appearances, and prepared for movie roles that would cement his legacy in Hollywood. Behind the closed doors of his sanctuary, Elvis could take a breath, plan his next move, and recharge before stepping back into the spotlight. But Graceland wasn't just a place to rest. It was a reflection of Elvis's colorful spirit and playful creativity. He had a deep love for themed spaces, and he filled his home with them, each one capturing a different side of his personality. The Jungle Room, with its exotic Polynesian flair, became one of the most famous. Complete with green shag carpeting, carved wood furniture, and even an indoor waterfall, it wasn't just decor. It was an experience. Later, Elvis would even use the Jungle Room as a recording studio, laying down some of his final songs right there at home. Downstairs, in the basement, Elvis created a television haven inspired by none other than President Lyndon B. Johnson. He famously installed 3 televisions side by side so he could watch all the major networks at once, a nod to the president's media-watching habits. It was here that he would kick back, watch football games, news broadcasts, or the latest TV shows, always staying connected to the world he so often retreated from. Across the mansion, the billiard room offered another glimpse into Elvis's fun-loving side. With walls draped in colorful pleated fabric and a cozy, relaxed vibe, it was the perfect spot for late-night pool games and friendly competitions. Elvis was known for being fiercely competitive, and when it came to shooting pool, the king liked to win. The trophy hall was yet another shrine within Graceland, showcasing a dazzling array of gold and platinum records, movie memorabilia, and awards from every corner of his career. Walking through it felt like stepping into a timeline of Elvis's rise from a humble kid in Tupelo to a global phenomenon. Every inch of Graceland told a story, not just about Elvis the superstar, but about Elvis the man. His love for family, his loyalty to friends, his passion for music, and his endless drive to stay connected to the world around him all lived inside those walls. Graceland wasn't a museum during Elvis's life. It was a living, breathing home where memories were made, dreams were chased, and the king could simply be himself. The upstairs of Graceland has long been wrapped in secrecy, a part of the house preserved not for show, but for sacred remembrance. Even today, decades after Elvis's passing, visitors are not allowed beyond the main staircase. It remains private, just as it was when Elvis lived there, honoring his deep need for personal space and the wishes of his family to keep some parts of his life untouched by public eyes. To Elvis, the upstairs wasn't just another floor. It was his personal sanctuary. Beyond those closed doors was a world where he could shed the pressures of fame and live quietly, surrounded by the people he trusted most. Only family members and his closest friends were ever allowed upstairs, and even then, the privilege was treated with respect and care. At the heart of this private domain was Elvis's master bedroom. Tucked away in the southwest corner of the mansion, it was designed to be a place of ultimate comfort. Decorated in a bold palette of red, black, and gold, the room reflected Elvis's love for opulence and his flair for dramatic style. Plush fabrics, mirrored accents, and ornate furniture filled the space, creating a feeling of warmth and luxury that felt uniquely his own. Adjacent to the bedroom was his walk-in dressing room, a cavern of wardrobe treasures. Elvis's signature stage outfits, casual wear, and personal effects were all stored there. meticulously organized to match his high-energy lifestyle. It wasn't just a closet, it was a launch pad, the place where he suited up for concerts, appearances, and even quiet nights at home. Across the hall sat his personal office and study, a quieter, more reflective space. Filled with shelves of books, personal papers, and favorite mementos, the office was where Elvis indulged his endless curiosity. He had a lifelong love of learning and often traveled with trunks full of books. At Graceland, this room served as both a workspace and a mental retreat, where he could read, plan, and dream without interruption. One of the most bittersweet parts of the upstairs is Lisa Marie's childhood room. As his only daughter, Lisa Marie was the light of Elvis's life, and her room was filled with love and attention. It was a vibrant, cozy space where they spent countless cherished moments together. A reminder of the softer, tender side of a man the world mostly saw as larger than life. And then there is the master bathroom, a place forever tied to tragedy. It was there, in 1977, that Elvis's remarkable life came to an end. Out of deep respect for Elvis and his family, that part of the upstairs has been left exactly as it was, preserved not as a spectacle, but as a solemn tribute to the man behind the legend. The atmosphere upstairs at Graceland was famously distinct. Lamar Fike, one of Elvis's longtime friends, once joked that the air conditioning was kept so cold you could hang meat in there and it wouldn't spoil. Visitors had to throw on jackets just to withstand the chill. The cold air, heavy drapery, and deep colors created a cocoon-like environment, offering Elvis the privacy and comfort he craved. The design choices, the rich reds, the inky blacks, the shimmering golds, weren't random. They spoke to Elvis's personality, bold, passionate, and always dramatic. Everything upstairs was tailored for maximum comfort and style, creating a personal oasis that felt untouched by the chaos of the outside world. Even now, Graceland's second floor remains a silent guardian of Elvis's true self, a place frozen in time, protected so that his spirit could live on undisturbed. It is a powerful reminder that even icons need a space to simply be themselves, away from the expectations of millions. When Lisa Marie Presley passed away in 2023, the responsibility of Graceland fell into the hands of her eldest daughter, Riley Keough. Inheriting the estate wasn't just a legal matter for Riley. It was a deeply personal one. Graceland had been a cornerstone of her childhood, a place where birthdays, holidays, and quiet family moments were woven into the fabric of her earliest memories. Growing up, Riley experienced Graceland not through the lens of a tourist or a fan, but through the eyes of a little girl who simply knew it as home. The long hallways, the grand staircase, the cozy kitchen filled with the smell of Southern cooking. Every inch of Graceland held a story for her, a connection to the family she loved, and the grandfather she never had the chance to meet. As she stepped into her role as the caretaker of Elvis's legacy, Riley found herself exploring parts of the mansion that had remained largely untouched for decades. She discovered hidden corners and secret compartments that revealed even more about the man behind the myth. Tucked away in carefully concealed drawers and shelves were letters, handwritten notes, and photographs from Elvis's tours and personal life. Small but powerful reminders of his humanity and his incredible journey. One of the most touching discoveries Riley shared was a simple black box found tucked safely among Elvis's private belongings. Inside, she found some of his most personal effects: expired American Express cards, an old comb still dusted with his hair, and small tokens that might seem ordinary to others, but carried profound weight for the family. These were the little pieces of Elvis's daily life, the quiet things he touched and carried, now frozen in time. Perhaps what struck Riley the most was how perfectly preserved everything upstairs remained. The furniture, the decor, the small personal items were all exactly as Elvis had left them. The velvet textures, the rich colors, the mirrors, the television placed perfectly at the foot of his oversized bed, all untouched, as if he had only just stepped out for a moment. It was like walking into a time capsule, a private world still vibrating with his presence. For Riley, preserving this space in its original state isn't just about honoring Elvis's memory. It's about maintaining the emotional heartbeat of Graceland. It's a testament to who he was, not just as an icon, but as a father, a friend, and a man with his own sacred spaces. By keeping the upstairs untouched, Riley ensures that visitors can still feel the spirit of Elvis without reducing him to a museum piece. She has spoken openly about the overwhelming sense of connection she feels when she walks through those rooms. It's a sacred duty she carries, balancing the public's deep love for Elvis with the private family memories that still echo through the halls. In many ways, Riley's stewardship of Graceland is not just about protecting a house. It's about protecting a legacy, a bond of blood, music, and history that continues to pulse just beneath the surface. Thanks to Riley's heartfelt revelations, the mystery of Graceland's upstairs feels a little more human, a little more intimate. It reminds us that behind the glittering jumpsuits, platinum records, and flashing cameras, there was a man who needed home, comfort, and love, just like all of us. Stepping into the private rooms of Graceland is like stepping into Elvis's soul, a reflection of his tastes, his comforts, and the sanctuary he built for himself, away from the demands of fame. Each space upstairs reveals a side of him that the public rarely got to see. At the center of it all is the master bedroom, a lavish yet deeply personal retreat. Dominating the room is a massive custom-made black bed, stretching an incredible 7 feet by 9 feet, framed by an elegant mirrored headboard. The rich colors of the room, deep reds, shimmering golds, and bold blacks, wrap the space in an atmosphere of dramatic comfort. Thick shag carpeting covers the floor, creating a soft, almost otherworldly feeling underfoot. This wasn't just a place to sleep. It was a fortress of solitude where Elvis could truly let his guard down. Technology played a big part in Elvis's private world as well. At the foot of his bed stood a massive television, ready for late-night movie marathons. Above him, mounted in the ceiling, another TV allowed him to watch, without even lifting his head from the pillows. It was the perfect setup for a man who loved to stay connected to the world while never having to leave the safety of his inner sanctum. Connected directly to the master bedroom was his expansive dressing room and walk-in closet, a hidden treasure trove of Elvis's iconic style. Here, racks of stage outfits stood ready, sequined jumpsuits glittering alongside personal clothing he wore during quieter days at home. From silk shirts to leather jackets, the collection spoke volumes about Elvis's evolving fashion sense, his love of showmanship, and his attention to every detail of his public persona. The dressing area wasn't simply for preparing for concerts or TV appearances. It was a ritual space, a place where Elvis transitioned from private man to public figure. Each outfit carried memories, tours, award shows, groundbreaking performances, and stepping into the dressing room was like stepping through the different eras of his life. Just down the hallway sat Elvis's personal study and home office, a quieter, more introspective space. This room was filled with shelves of books that revealed his wide-ranging interests, from spirituality and philosophy to history and self-help. Elvis was a lifelong reader, often traveling with trunks packed full of books, and his study at Graceland was a reflection of his constant search for knowledge and meaning. The office was also adorned with personal artifacts, gifts from fans, photographs from his tours, handwritten notes, and keepsakes from the people he loved. A comfortable chair by the fireplace invited long hours of reading and reflection, providing a peaceful contrast to the whirlwind pace of his public life. Every room upstairs was designed with a specific purpose, yet all shared a common thread: comfort, creativity, and a strong sense of privacy. Elvis didn't decorate for guests or for appearances. He created these spaces for himself, choosing every fabric, color, and furnishing to fit his vision of a personal paradise. The famous upstairs rooms of Graceland are more than architectural landmarks. They are emotional time capsules. They tell the story of a man who, despite the global adoration and towering fame, still sought the simple pleasures of home: a warm bed, favorite books, familiar clothes, and a space to dream without limits. Tucked quietly behind the mansion, shaded by magnolia trees and soft stone pathways, lies the meditation garden, one of the most sacred and emotional spaces at Graceland. This serene garden was created at Elvis's request during his lifetime, designed as a place for reflection, peace, and spiritual renewal. It's a space where time seems to slow and the noise of the outside world fades away. After Elvis's sudden passing in 1977, he was originally laid to rest at Forest Hill Cemetery in Memphis, alongside his beloved mother, Gladys Presley. However, in the months that followed, a failed grave robbery attempt forced the Presley family to make a difficult but necessary decision. Concerned for the safety of Elvis's final resting place, they arranged for his remains and his mother's to be moved to Graceland. There, they could be protected, honored, and kept close to the home he loved so deeply. Today, Elvis Presley rests at Graceland's meditation garden, surrounded by his family in a quiet circle of remembrance. His parents, Vernon and Gladys Presley, are laid to rest beside him, their lives forever intertwined. Nearby rests Minnie Mae Presley, Elvis's beloved grandmother, affectionately known as Dodger, who lived at Graceland for many years and was a comforting presence in his life. In 2020, heartbreak struck the Presley family again when Elvis's grandson, Benjamin Keough, passed away. Benjamin, the son of Lisa Marie Presley, now rests beside his grandfather, tying the generations together within the sacred grounds of Graceland. And following Lisa Marie's own tragic passing in 2023, she too was laid to rest alongside her father and son, bringing even greater meaning and tenderness to the family's final gathering place. The meditation garden also holds a poignant tribute to a life that was lost before it even began. A memorial stone honors Jesse Garon Presley, Elvis's twin brother who was stillborn. Though Jesse never lived to share in Elvis's incredible journey, his memory was always close to Elvis's heart. And now he too is symbolically part of the family circle at Graceland. Walking through the garden, visitors often leave flowers, notes, and tokens of love, paying tribute not only to Elvis the performer, but to Elvis the man, the son, the father, the grandson, and the friend. The gentle sound of fountains, the vibrant blooms, and the solemn beauty of the garden create a space that feels both deeply personal and universally moving. The meditation garden stands as a quiet counterpoint to the high-energy life Elvis once led. It's a place of stillness and reverence, a lasting reminder that behind all the glitter, all the fame, and all the headlines, there was a man who sought peace, who cherished family, and who, in the end, found eternal rest at the place he called home. Today, Graceland stands not just as a house, but as a living monument to one of the most influential artists the world has ever known. What was once Elvis Presley's personal sanctuary has transformed into a pilgrimage site, welcoming over 500,000 visitors each year from every corner of the globe. It remains one of the most visited private homes in America, second only to the White House, a testament to the enduring love and fascination the world holds for the King of Rock and Roll. Graceland is far more than a static museum. It's a vibrant, dynamic destination that preserves Elvis's life and legacy with care, respect, and deep emotional resonance. The mansion itself offers fans a glimpse into his personal world, the rooms he lived in, the memories he made. Yet, what visitors see during a tour is only a small fraction of what Graceland truly holds. Stored safely within the Graceland archives is an astonishing collection. Over 50,000 photographs capturing every era of Elvis's life. More than 3,000 pieces of textiles, including costumes, clothing, and linens, and thousands upon thousands of documents, contracts, personal letters, handwritten notes, and tour itineraries. Together, these artifacts weave an intimate, detailed tapestry of the man who changed the face of music forever. Incredibly, only about 10% of the entire Graceland archive is on public display at any given time. The rest is carefully preserved in climate-controlled environments, ensuring that future generations will be able to experience and learn from Elvis's extraordinary life and career. Behind the scenes, teams of archivists, curators, and preservationists work tirelessly to catalog, protect, and interpret these priceless treasures. Graceland is also a major engine for cultural preservation and economic vitality. The estate generates an estimated $10 million in revenue annually, funds that are crucial for ongoing restoration, maintenance, and new exhibits. Every dollar earned helps ensure that Graceland doesn't just survive, it thrives, evolving thoughtfully while remaining true to its original spirit. But perhaps most importantly, Graceland serves as a living, breathing extension of Elvis's spirit. Throughout the year, the estate hosts a variety of events designed to celebrate his life, his music, and his impact. From the annual Elvis Week festivities to special concerts, exhibitions, and fan gatherings, these moments keep Elvis's voice alive for new generations who may never have seen him perform in person, but who feel his influence every day. Graceland isn't frozen in time. It grows and evolves, just as Elvis's music continues to inspire. It connects the past to the present, creating a place where people of all ages, backgrounds, and cultures come together to honor a man who spoke the universal language of music and emotion. Through careful stewardship, passionate storytelling, and the dedication of those who love him most, Graceland remains more than just a house on a hill. It is a symbol of dreams realized, challenges faced, and a legacy that will never fade. It is Elvis Presley's eternal home, and through it, the King continues to reign. Graceland is more than just walls and windows. It's a living, breathing monument to a man whose voice, spirit, and dreams transformed the world of music forever. Every room, every artifact, and every quiet corner tells the story of a boy from Mississippi who rose to unimaginable heights, but never lost his yearning for home. Through the years, millions have walked its halls, searching for a glimpse of the real Elvis, the man behind the legend. And thanks to the heartfelt revelations shared by his granddaughter, Riley Keough, that connection feels closer and more personal than ever before. We no longer just see the King of Rock and Roll performing under the blinding stage lights. We see the man who cherished family dinners, late-night movies, heartfelt conversations, and peaceful moments away from the chaos of fame. We see the private Elvis, the son, the father, the dreamer, whose spirit still lingers in the spaces he once called his own. Graceland stands as a reminder that greatness is not only built on awards, platinum records, or sold-out arenas, but on love, humility, and the simple human need for sanctuary. It invites each of us to slow down, to listen, and to remember that behind every legend is a heart that beats, a soul that dreams, and a life that leaves a permanent imprint on the world. As long as Graceland stands tall, Elvis's legacy will never fade. His music will continue to inspire, his story will continue to resonate, and his home will continue to welcome new generations into its embrace. Thank you for taking this journey with us behind the doors of Graceland, into the heart of the man who forever changed music and touched millions of lives. If today's visit moved you, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share your favorite Elvis memory in the comments below. We would love to hear your stories and keep the spirit of Elvis alive together. Until next time, remember, legends aren't measured only by their fame, but by the love they leave behind. And Elvis Presley left a love that will echo through time.